What it do, anime crew? Um, I don't expect a particularly well articulated rant here. Um, Not that that's usually what I bring to the table, but I just want to kind of process my emotions. After reading The Death of SingleH by SingleH, for those of you who don't know, SingleH is a formerly very prolific Mal reviewer who's the only one I ever really bothered to follow and read, go out of my way to read several reviews of. Besides my boy Namash, who I need to catch up on as well. But basically, she stopped writing reviews for a few years there, and I had no idea what had happened. She left like kind of a vaguely punctual review, but always talked about she's going to come back and do one final one. And I was, frankly, really worried. And now, after reading it, I'm probably even more worried. But about what that meant and why she hadn't posted it yet. But yeah, she used to post a lot. She stopped posting, and then this was her final farewell, quote unquote review. But it's not a review of anything. She barely mentions anime throughout the whole thing, because this was somebody who had made kind of a big impression on me. I'm not gonna act like I'm a SingleH super fan, like I've read every review, but I had a couple nights where I would binge through a few of her reviews. I'm kind of brain rotted, so I can only do so many. She was also always vastly more intelligent and articulate than myself, something that she ironically mentioned feeling about somebody else during this post as well, which may sort of help indicate why I feel something of I don't want to say an emotional kinship because that implies like a two-way street, but I always have to some extent related to her sentiments regarding self-esteem and things of that nature. But I don't really know how to start this. I don't really know where to begin. I just felt so many emotions while reading through that final post that I want to sort of unpack in real time because I don't know any better way how. And I'm pissed off and I'm frustrated because I know I'm not going to truly be able to get to the heart of it, and why it reached me on such a deep level. A lot of it can obviously just be attributed to her being a great writer. She expressed doubt in that throughout, and I want to say one thing that's even terrifying for someone with self-esteem issues like me. Like I said, view her as unequivocally more intelligent and probably generally more competent than me. She did talk about certain intense dysfunctional behavior she has during this post. But I've always thought she has so much insightful to say. I've heard more insightful things in like one SingleH review than I've heard from people who I've known for years. Like I'm saying was because she's like retiring from this, but she is seriously one of the most articulate, insightful, and passionate writers I've ever seen. You can tell when she was writing, it was something that meant something to her. It was important that she got shit right and that she was able to get to the root of why she feels the way she feels about things. And that's beautiful. And that's what allowed for, I think, so many people to connect with her over basically any other reviewer. I've never started a conversation with anyone who talks about liking a reviewer that isn't SingleH. Maybe Namash mentioned one. I forget who it was, but I think Namash mentioned one. But SingleH is like so clearly such a great person, so even uniquely worthy of love and acceptance and friendship. Yet she has a horrible time seeing that in herself, and the wretched fucking talons of self-loathing have not loosened their grip very much at all because of just her relentless upbringing by the sounds of things, which is kind of uniquely terrifying to me because there really is no amount of quality or merit you can possibly have that's going to get you out of that situation where you're constantly looking at yourself asking what more you could have done, and just kicking yourself over your limitations, how inferior in every way that you're incapable, and every way that you could have helped make somebody treat even you better, treat themselves better, but you were never able to. And it's because you never could, I don't know. So I hate how stupid I am, how fucking bad I am at expressing myself sometimes. But yeah, I was reading this, and that was the first thing that immediately started to pull on my heartstrings, was just that, obviously, she's still dealing with all those feelings, even years after I had stopped. She wasn't posting anymore. I was hoping her life was on a better trajectory, and in some ways it was, in the sense that she found love for the first time, something I've certainly never done. But it seems that it was that human connection that she had been denied for like so long in her life, just utterly and outright. Even in terms of exploration of like sexuality and stuff, to where she finally got it, and it was extremely imperfect, and by the sounds of things, fairly dysfunctional, and ruthless on her mental health. But during that relationship, she displayed like borderline inhuman like discipline and passionate commitment to another person. She just quit alcohol cold turkey, which almost killed her because she was so vehemently alcoholic. She started working 70 hours a week, which I genuinely like shudder to imagine. The whole time, she's trying to make herself a better partner, to make herself like more wife material and all this stuff. And she simply wasn't getting that effort back from her partner by the sounds of things. Among other, more glaring issues in the relationship. And she made the mature decision that it wasn't going to work, and she had to leave it behind. But that can be so hard. And I commend her maturity. Leaving an oftentimes abusive relationship is one of the hardest things in the world. There's a million, billion, trillion fucking documentations of people who so obviously are in such a terrible situation, but just can't convince themselves to leave because, they've erected these like complex justifications in their own head, or, they're terrified, or their self-worth has been broken down to such a level to where they don't believe they deserve better, whatever the million things it may be. It's such a fucking vicious cycle. So I commend her for making that decision at the scariest fucking time in her life, when she had everything to lose for the first time ever, things she really cared about, which is just another testament to the beauty of her spirit and her as a person. I really can't, and I try to be very humble in the sense that I don't know her. I only know her anime reviews, and not even all of those. I've never talked to her. I probably never will talk to her, but from everything I've ever read from her, she really does have a remarkable spirit and passion and mind that has just been unfortunately given just the worst shake in a lot of ways. Like, life is uniquely very cruel in the sense that these things that really matter to us, namely profound human connections, be it romantic or otherwise, we don't really have control over. We can do a lot to give ourselves better odds of running into those, magical, moments of connection or love or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, we can't control it. It's a two-way street. Somebody else has to be on the other side of that equation. And that's can be like uniquely, can just uniquely inspire a feeling of hopelessness, because you never know if you're going to get it again. And you never know if you're even going to get it once, to be honest. But I mean, yeah, she seems to have a good amount of genuine connections with her friends, and she had that romantic connection, which hopefully lets her know that it is possible for her to be happy even in an ideal circumstance. I mean, she said as much. She made it extremely clear that it's like it was an unforgettable moment for her. And she's since, regressed back into some of her old, more self-destructive habits. I do believe that part of it is just, it was such an intense breakup that there has to be a lengthy recovery process. And I know she says she's over it, just not the feelings that she felt, or she's over the person, just not the feelings that that person made her feel. But it's just it really is all a heart-wrenching, difficult, lengthy process. And I'm glad she's reaching back out to her friends. I'm really concerned by some of the things she was saying, but I think it's definitely the best thing possible to try to reconnect with friends and get that assurance and validation and love for who you are as a person. Because it was revealed about the SingleH thing that she had this entire double personality, which I didn't know about, but it sort of came from an expression of herself that she felt she never really fully let out for the world to see. She never really fully expressed, which came from her believing that she was only as useful as she would be liked by other people. And so her true emotions, and then her emotions that made her feel like others would accept her, which was the most profound feeling she was ever looking for, were like two totally separate personalities that didn't even go by the same name. And of course, I'm sure she knows, she's way smarter than me, that probably synthesizing those two personalities would be the best thing humanly possible. Expressing yourself as you truly are, so that you can more effectively find people who love you for those qualities, so that you can stop having to put on this facade. If only it was that simple. I do relate. I know I'm not going to pretend like I even have any slight answers or any useful advice. I don't know her. I don't know the full details of her situation other than a couple of paragraphs. I don't know why. It's just, obviously it's just sad to hear another human going through these trials of, abuse and suicidality and, alcoholism and addiction, everything like that. But I don't know why it really, really, really struck me. It really, really struck me to read this from her. Because I've been waiting for this post for so long, and then it's like, oh, I had missed it for like a month and a half. Someone in my Discord server had told me about it, and it was basically just everything I had hoped hadn't been the case. And I really hope she doesn't give up. But I really do think she's just in the process of growth, and I think it's a weight off her shoulders. I think the fact that she finally closed the SingleH chapter of her life as some sort of compartmentalized, separate identity, even if it was just a tiny weight, even if she has way fucking bigger fish to fry than some stupid shit on my anime list, I think it is, a relevant step in the right direction. And I just hope that all the people who are way smarter than me, who are close to her, can help just never let her forget how worthy she is, how intelligent she is, how insightful she is, how much, I don't know. I don't know, man. It just freaked me out. I guess it just freaked me out to read, and I really, 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 really fucking hope she's doing okay. Yeah. What do you know? I didn't have anything insightful to say, but yeah. SingleH forever. Shit. I don't know.